A website without the right content is useless no matter how well it's designed. The purpose of your website should be to achieve a measurable result, and it's the content's job to drive the visitor toward that goal. The design and functionality of the website is there to support the content and enhance the visitor's experience. So was the content on your website working for you or against you? In this episode, I'm walking you through how you can create killer website content that converts. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Liquid Digital Marketing Podcast. This is episode 61, and we are talking about creating killer content for your website that converts. Okay, so as you heard in the intro, the content on your website is what drives a visitor to take action. So a lot of times when people go out to develop their websites or create their websites, they focus a lot on the design. Now, the design is very important and the functionality is very important, but a lot of times the content is an afterthought. So it's important to know it's the content that drives the actions, right? So it's the headlines, it's what's drawing the people in, and then it's the copy and the call to actions that are driving them to actually take action and for you to achieve your objective. So that's why the content is so important. When we set out to design and develop a website, we start with the content because for us and for most web designers, the content is the blueprint to your website. It's kind of like building your house without having a blueprint, right? So you can design it all day long, but if it doesn't enhance the content then or support the content, then it doesn't matter. So the content is the most important element on your website. All right, so let's talk about some other things that you should know when it comes to developing the content for your website. So first off, you need to identify what are your main objectives. What are the top 1, 2, 3 things max do you want people to do when they come to your website? Like, what is your objective for your website? Now, I know a lot of people, it's to just simply build credibility and to be a place for people to come check them out, because most of the time their business comes from referrals. Well, a lot of times what that referral will do is once they get that information, they will come to your website and check you out and to see, if they want to continue forward. So maybe that's your objective. Maybe your objective is to create sales. Maybe it's to build your list. Maybe it's to sell a book. Maybe it's to get people to listen to your podcast. Like, what are the objectives? And maybe it's a handful of those things. So which ones are the most important? How are you going to structure that? So go into it knowing what your objective is. What is your main objective? What is your secondary objective with your website? The next thing you need to know is your audience. Who is your main target audience? So a lot of times when we speak with people about building their websites and we're going through the discovery phase, their audience is everybody, right? So which is the completely wrong answer. Your website is not everybody. So your website, you should have a target person, a target audience. So that doesn't mean you aren't going to service everybody. That just means you're targeting a specific niche. You're targeting a specific audience. So know your audience. You can do this by creating a custom customer avatar. So basically what that is going to do, and we're going to do a podcast and a couple episodes here about creating and developing your customer avatar, but just a quick little glimpse into that. What that is basically it's really honing in on who your customer is, like down to the person, not just a general sense like, oh, they're women, they live in the United States, and they are from the age of 20 to 40. Like, no, that's way, way too general. We're talking like specific, like it's Jen Walsh and she is 32 years old and has 3 kids. Like it's a person, it's an avatar. So that's knowing your audience. Create a customer avatar That's hard to say. Customer avatar. And that's going to help you with your messaging. And again, stay tuned because we have another podcast coming up. That's going to be about that in a couple weeks. Anyway, okay, moving on. The next thing you need to know is, what is your call to action? Your call to action, or you'll hear people say your CTA, short for call to action. What is the thing you want them to do? And you have to be very clear on your call to action. So your call to action should be very specific, not learn more, contact us. I mean, that's okay. But like, if you can get even better, like schedule a free call or whatever, so set up a meeting or whatever it is. If you can get more specific, or download our free ebook or whatever, that's your call to action. What action do you want people to take? Do you want them to call you? Do you want them to fill out a form? Do you want them to come to your location? Do you want them to listen to something or to watch something? So what is that call to action? So you want to define what that is. Write it down. Write all of these things down before you start creating your content. Okay, so now let's break up some content considerations as it pertains to some of these main types of pages that you would have on your typical website. Now, I understand this doesn't fit everybody. Not everyone's going to have these pages, but I would say probably 90% of the people out there that have a typical website will have these pages. And those pages are the home page, the about page, a product or service page, and your contact page. So let's kind of talk about the content that you should have on these. Okay, so let's start with the home page. On your home page, the content considerations, so keep in mind your home page is the entry point in where people, are going to come into your website. So this page needs to draw people in and capture them, right? So how we do that is with typically having a hero section at the top, which is going to tell them what you do, how it benefits them, and what action you want them to take, right? So if you have a service, what service do you provide and how does that benefit them and what should they do in that hero section? Below that on your homepage, you want to have a benefits section. What are the benefits the customer will receive from you, from your product or your services? So highlight the benefits. A lot of times people make the mistake of going all about them, right? The hero section, yes, they have it, but it's all about them. And then the next section is their feature section, which is all about their features, what's included, what they get, or what you get, I guess, which is opposite. What you want to do is make it about your visitor. And then that benefit section is what benefit is the visitor going to receive, and then go into the features. What is included? And then after that, go into social proof. Social proof can be a lot of things. So typically, social proof is testimonials or case studies. It can also be maybe logos, like a logo list of people that you've worked with so people can quickly identify it. Maybe it's all of the above. Maybe it's some badges or some certifications or certain things in your industry. So that is social proof as well. It could be, if it's a product or sales, it could be how many people have bought it, or how many are left or something like that, right? So it could be any type of social proof out there. Okay, and then you want to have on your homepage your main call to action. So your main call to action should be in the top header, in the hero section, and then down after the benefits and features, and maybe even sprinkled in throughout, right? So that call to action would be typically a button with some text, to tell them to take some action. And then what a lot of people don't have on their homepage, or they don't think about, is what we call a secondary call to action. And so you might have heard me say this before, but 80 to 90% of the visitors on your website are not ready to take action right now to that main call to action, maybe to schedule that consultation or to contact you, right? So what happens to these 80% of people that aren't ready to take action? Well, if you don't have anything else, they're going to leave, If you give them a secondary call to action, a secondary action to take, then what they will do is maybe give you their email address in exchange for a free download or some piece of value, a video or something that they can take away. So now what happens is now you have their email address and you can continue that conversation with them. So basically this is lead generation. That's your secondary call to action. Okay, so that's the homepage. And now that is not a definitive list. That is just high level things that you want to consider when you are approaching your homepage. Now let's jump into the about page. So many people mistakenly neglect or overlook their about page. So not realizing that is actually responsible for helping the customer decide if they want to work with you or not. So the about page should be there to connect your visitors to your story and humanize your brand. You want to tell on this page, you want to tell your story, but you want to try to keep it about them. And this is the most difficult part. So you want to tell your story because that's going to allow people to see the personality, the human side of your company, which is great. But what you want to try to avoid is having that story just be all about you. Try to find a way to weave in or intermix the benefit that they receive. Like, why does this matter to them? So your story should be maybe why you started the company is because you went through the same struggles that they are going through and you know the solution if created this service or product to help them overcome these issues that you've already had that they're having now. So that's how you kind of interweave the benefits, how you interweave your story into their problem. You want to, in the story, you want to show how you're different than maybe your competitors, and again, like how it's going to benefit them. Also on this page, you want to include your social proof and a call to action. So a lot of times that gets forgotten on this page. So keep in mind, people are here to see more about you if they want to work with you. People don't typically go right to an about page right off, right? So they're going to get a little bit of information and be like, well, who are these people? What are they about? Then they're going to see that. Then, okay, yeah, I see how they can help me. So that's where you want to have that social proof and call to action. So if they're at that decision point to make that action or to take that action, you give them that opportunity. Okay, let's keep moving on to the product or service pages. So when people are visiting your product and service pages, they are most likely in the research phase of your buying cycle. So in that phase, you want to make sure that you treat these pages as like full landing pages. So they should include the benefits, just like the homepage did. So if it's a product, maybe it's more specific to this product or more specific to this service. So if it's, a product, let's say you're a coach of some type and your homepage benefits might be the benefits of your overall coaching. But now let's say you have a one-on-one, I'm trying to think, a mindset coaching. So this is going to be a specific benefit. How are they going to benefit from improving their mindset, right? So it's going to be more of tiered down to that product or service. Okay. Then you want to have a feature section, right? So like what features, what do they get in this service or in this product? What's included? What are the benefits? I'm sorry, not benefits. Or what are the features? So if it's a product, maybe it's like a t-shirt. So is it cotton? Is it, pre-shrunk? Is it, I don't know, the sizes or whatever. If it's a service, like what do they get? Do they get one session? Do they get two sessions? Are they in person? Are they Zoom? How long are they? That kind of stuff. Okay. And then again, social proof and call to action. You're going to continue to see social proof and call to action. Why? Because social proof is going to build trust, and call to action is going to tell them what action to take next if they're ready to make that decision. That's the product and service pages. Let's move on to the contact page. So the contact page is where your potential customer is really the first place where they're going to start that conversation with you. For most, this is where your relationship with your customer begins, right? It's the first really now interaction. So you want to keep the content on this page very simple, very clear, so that people understand what action to take and what to expect next. You also want to be sure to continue to inject your brand voice and your personality to create that inviting feeling that promotes that trust, right? So throughout, we're talking content here. So throughout, you're going to have that same continuous voice and feeling that you're giving them. So are you serious? Are you fun? Are you, knowledgeable? Or what is that feeling? What is that brand that comes across? So you want to include this into your copy. And if you're not a copywriter, that can be a challenge. So it might be worth hiring a copywriter to do this. But anyway, then also, again, social proof, testimonials, and then, of course, your call to action. How are they going to contact you? Is it a big phone number? Is it a form? Is it a schedule online? What is it? That, my friends, is an overview of all of the pages and considerations for creating your website content that is going to convert. So the content is often the hardest part about building a website. We do have a resource for you, and I will link it down here in the show notes. It's called our Lead Generation Website Makeover Checklist, and it's going to give you our checklist of all of the things that you should be considering or thinking about when you go and create your pages. So it's free. Go download it. It's definitely worth it. We also do have a website makeover toolkit, which includes 4 videos, the customer avatar builder that we were talking about. It also includes a brand guideline template, so you can put together your brand guidelines. It is not free, actually. I want to say it's $29 or $24. I don't remember. You'll see if you get there. So it's not free, but it's definitely worth it. And it's an option for you. If it's not for you, it's not for you. That's great. No worries. Just want you to have the tools to succeed. That wraps us up for this episode. We hope you found it very valuable. If you did, please leave us a review. Share it out there with your friends if you think they might get some value out of it. I appreciate you being here, and we'll see you in the next episode.